Welcome, everyone, to episode 105 of the Indie Reds podcast. I'm your host, Joe Dilling. With me tonight are the returns of Jim Dimitri and Brian Smith. I guess it's actually the returns for all of us since I was deathly ill last week and made a game time decision to scrap the podcast. So tonight we're going to try something a little bit different. I've found myself doing a bit of match recap before we start talking, and I'm kind of thinking, let's try something a little different tonight. So we're going to not do a recap and just kind of talk about it and see how that works out again. So we're going to talk about the Spurs match from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as well as the visit from the scum from Manchester United. We'll also maybe a few pieces of transfer gossip and look ahead at the Wolves match. But first, I know he's itching to talk about it, so I am not drinking anything tonight, believe it or not. But Brian, what are you partaking of tonight as we podcast?
Pabst and tomato juice.
Oh my God, that sounds terrible.
No, I'm not.
Is that Clamato?
Bud Light made one of those.
Yeah, they did.
No, tonight I'm in a celebratory mood after a couple of terrific wins and getting back and potting with you guys again. So I'm going back to the old tried and true, the gin and tonic in a glass way too big for a drink of that type, and have some extras here on the side in case we talk for a while. So, yep, back to the old gin and tea, or G&T rather. But you're not drinking anything at all. I'm sure Jim is. He's got something in his hand. I'm hoping. I hope it's not just me. Jim, save me.
Yeah, I am. So there's a brewery from Astoria, New York, Queens, called Single Cut, and they're kind of hazy, hoppy beer specialists. And everything I've had from them is phenomenal. Just amazing. And tonight I am drinking their double dry hop full stack Imperial IPA. It's fairly fresh. They just canned it in beginning of this month. So it's mighty tasty.
All right.
Nice. Man. What's the name of the brewery again? I'm sorry.
They're called Single Cut.
Single Cut.
Yeah. You can find them I saw them at cons, but I've been shopping out on the east side more frequently lately when I've been buying my beer. There's a liquor store on 10th and Emerson called Stoney's. It's out in Irvington, and they are good about catering to beer geeks like me. So I bought my 4-pack of Single Cut double dry hop full stack at Stoney's Liquors on 10th and Emerson.
So no free plugs.
Nice.
So you better tell them you better get some beer. Sorry for those of you out of town and don't know who cons are.
If that's the case, I am drinking the Hard Truth vodka from Brown County, so send me a case.
There we go. Yeah, right.
There we go.
But so the apologies if you have no idea where Irvington is, or the fact that it's the hipster area. So of course they're going to cater to beer geeks like Jim.
It's not a hipster area. It's an everybody area.
It's the old hipster area. It was Broad Ripple, which is still kind of hipster. And then it was Irvington, and now it's Fountain Square and whatever's next to Fountain Square. I always forget it.
Hipster parents area. How about that?
The hipster parents area. They're family-friendly hipsters. How about that?
Yes.
All right.
Family-friendly hipsters.
No, seriously.
Very much like Union Jack and Broad Ripple. Family-friendly.
We looked at places in Irvington and really liked the area, but didn't work out for us. Okay. All right. So let's jump in and let's talk about the football. To the football. So I'll be the first to admit I didn't know how Spurs were going to set up tactically for their match. Jose's known to park the bus, but the weapons that Spurs have, even without Harry Kane, it doesn't really suit that style of parking the bus. So what really surprised you guys in the way that Spurs played? I know I didn't give you guys a ton of time to talk about it, so if you want me to, I can show you my thoughts, or we'll just start with you, Jim.
Really nothing surprised me about it. I think you hit the nail on the head, because it was sort of a park and counter kind of system where they had 7, 8 behind the ball most of the time, but then they were letting Lucas Moura and Son and who was kind of floating behind Son? I'm trying to remember.
Erickson.
It's been 2 weeks now.
Wasn't it Erickson?
Dele Alli was
Okay.
was kind of floating around behind Son in there, kind of floating around to both sides of the pitch. So I thought that was expected, and I don't want to jump ahead too much here, but I was, I guess I should say, I was surprised by how much of the ball they had in the second half, and the chances they were able to create there. But I chalked that more up to we were looking kind of fatigued as the second half wore on. But I'm jumping way ahead here. So just to kind of gather my kind of disjointed thoughts here, I was not surprised by the way they set up in the first half.
All right, Brian, were you surprised at all in the way that they set up and the way that they played?
No, not the way they set up and the way they played. I mean, on paper, it looked like a 4-4-2, and Dele Alli and kind of more up front with, but those guys are very interchangeable. No Kane, of course, as you mentioned, so they didn't have a real definitive striker that was going to lead the line and be the furthest advanced and the target for every long ball. That kind of stuff really wasn't in play. And, Son did what he always did, was wide, and when cut inside, it was, seemingly dangerous. For good portions of the match, I didn't think Eriksen was very good, and that's why they subbed him out.
His mind's somewhere else. It really
about
is.
Half an hour to go or so. Sorry?
His mind's somewhere else. He's not.
Yeah,
he's not
could be.
committed.
Yeah. Well, Winks wasn't particularly effective either.
Well, but it's Harry
no.
Winks.
No.
But he's Harry Winks, right?
yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So, as far as their setup, kind of what I expected in the way they played. They're not in a great spot in the table. They haven't been playing particularly well. And I was a little bit worried they were just going to come out and just try to, really go after us, especially being at home. But they didn't, and we had some good spells in the first half as well, and they certainly didn't come out flying. But then again, I was probably pretty stupid to think that Mourinho was going to send a team out and fly after anybody and really kind of go for it the way that we seem to be able to. They just don't have the wide players that can do that. They don't have the players up front that can do that, and to be frank, they don't have the midfield players that are playing well enough to do that either. So,
yeah, true. So I think the thing that stuck out for me was they were really going hard from go, like at Spurs. Like all of our little passes that usually pay off, they were pressuring us. They were counter-pressing, I guess. At least the way I saw it, a lot. And it was getting to us. We weren't quite expecting that, but we still had 73% possession in the first half.
Yeah.
So I mean, you never had, it'd be like the break up the play, and then, okay, now Liverpool's resetting. All right, break up the play, now Liverpool's
It helped that we had the ball all the time. But a couple times he was, asked to pull something off a performer when the ball, he didn't do as well as he normally did. But, it could be that he was a little bit fatigued, as Jim mentioned. So what did you think about Gomes, Jim?
Yeah, I agree with all that. To be fair to him, I think this was a blip over the. So he's been in since, I'm trying to think of when Lovren got injured. It was
just November.
Yeah, so it was 7-8 matches ago, or maybe even more than that.
More because of the Club World Cup, but still, yes.
But still, right. So,
I remember Gomes starting the Bournemouth game at the beginning of December, for sure. And the game before that was the Everton match. And Lovren started the game against Everton back on December 4th. So December 7th was the first start for Gomes. So there you go.
Right. But just to recap my point, it was that I think he's been effective since he's come back in. And I think he's showing that he is the ideal pair with Virgil in the center of defense. But yeah, there were a couple times he was caught out. He seemed a little bit slow to the ball and in the tackle. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying, yes, I agree with both of you. So there we go.
Do you feel, because I think when I wrote this podcast a week and a half ago, I felt that we kind of had this feeling that we got lucky to win the match. Do you think that maybe it was kind of a luck issue or we had this game the whole time. I mean, I get the whole 73% possession, but still, there were a lot of shots, I think, from Son and Lucas Moura that almost came off. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I certainly think there was an element of luck in it. Particularly, I think Son had a couple of sitters, if I remember correctly. The one that he just blazed, or a couple that he blazed wide. Maybe one that he blazed over the bar. So yeah, I do think there was some luck in it. We looked back on our heels for a good part of the second half. They certainly had the better run of play in that half. But that being said, one of the things that was discussed after the match was I think Mourinho mentioned in his press conference, post-match press conference, that they had specifically tried to focus on defending throw-ins, and we saw how well that worked out because Bobby's goal came off a throw-in that really, I think, started with Harry Winks just not defending very well. If you go back and you look at the goal, there are a number of Spurs players are trying to defend the throw-in, and they're all goal side. But when Bobby starts to make his run, Harry Winks is the guy who's in front of him, and he just kind of falls asleep, and that started the whole sequence that led to the goal with, the ball eventually falling to Mo, and then Mo laying it off to Bobby. And Bobby, if you watch that goal again, you'll see that he lets it run to his left foot before he takes the shot, and just beautiful finish, of course. But that was all first half again, and as we've been focusing on here, it was really the second half where Spurs I think had the better run of play.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
I think that, and I'll just summarize this. I think it was a good a good game for the front three. Not like a great game because it was only 1-0, but I thought the midfield had a rough game. Maybe that's kind of where they were looking leggy, except for when Henderson just said, "I'm not going to be stopped," and goes and wins that header that gets the ball to Mo, which gets it to Bobby. I really wasn't that happy with the performance in the match from the midfield. I thought defense was strong. I mean, we still had some nervy moments, but I thought it maybe kind of played a little more leggy. Brian, over to you, bud.
Yeah, I think you guys are on the right track. I don't really think this was a luck or that we didn't deserve the win. They did have those couple late chances. Son had one really late that I'm shocked that he missed, and I believe Moura had one on a terrific ball into the far post, and he on his left foot, and he tries to go back to the far post and puts it wide from about 6 yards out, kind of a sliding volley.
Yeah.
I thought that was in. It's like maybe 82nd, 83rd minute. I think the entire stadium thought that was in. Other than those couple of chances, we pretty much dominated the match, and that might be a bit of a cop out in a 1-0, but because they've easily could have equalized. But we hit the post in the first 90 seconds and had like 3 shots in a 4-second span, and they were lucky not to have us take the lead, right in the beginning of the match. And all the possession we had. I mean, I was looking up some numbers just for the heck of it. We had 7 shots, and they only had 4 on target. We only had 9 clearances. They had 38 clearances. Now I don't know what is really determined as a clearance. I'd imagine it's something in your defensive third where you're getting the ball out of danger, maybe to somebody, or even aimless, or anywhere in between. So I know they had a couple chances, and they would feel that they should have equalized, but I feel like we deserve 3 points because we dominated enough of the match, both statistically and just from watching it, we were in control most of the time. So I felt like I deserved 3 points, but I can see why a Spurs supporter might be, a little bit, pissed off that didn't at least get a point out of it. So, Anthony in Pasadena, I'm talking to you. Too bad.
So
do they meet at the Noodles and Company out there in Pasadena too?
I can only hope so. That is hilarious. I need to find out. That is good. Emily can tell me in the spring because plane tickets have been purchased. So.
Oh well, good for her. All right, so how'd you guys?
Exactly.
How'd you guys feel how the match was over? Just kind of like, okay, that's done. Let's go on to the next one. Or, all right, I like this outcome.
Maybe relieved is the feeling that I would describe. I kind of, not that I'm sitting on the edge of my seat for every match now, but just the fact that we keep amassing the points is, has me feeling that, okay, I need to actually reconsider the feelings that I normally feel about, this dread of, when are things all going to go wrong? And that just isn't happening. And so it's a weird place to be in, being a Liverpool supporter for almost 2 decades now. Actually, it's over 2 decades now.
Yes.
So
yeah.
It's 22 years.
I'm at like 18. Like my fandom could have had a kid that's graduated high school.
Yeah.
It's seriously, guys. It's such a weird feeling. It really is, and I don't know if we can explain this to anybody. Maybe we'd feel differently if we were able to be in Liverpool and able to physically go to the matches. But at times I just kind of don't know how to act. You always have this fear of impending doom that something's going to happen. And I mean, we've amassed a 16-point lead with a game in hand, which you could say is 19 points with the way that we've been playing. But you're still like, there's still that chance. I just don't know what to expect. Brian, how are you feeling on it, man?
Well, at the end of the Spurs game, I think we're all feeling the same way, and most Liverpool supporters worldwide were thinking that. A few were shouting from the mountaintops already that's over, and a few were, superstitious as hell, and they've worn the same clothes for the last 4 months. But it's
I washed mine, but I wear the same shirt.
What I thought after the game was great. Another 3 points. We didn't play our best, but we still got the 3 points, and this was one of the 5 or 6 toughest games that we have left. Maybe 4th or 5th toughest game we have left. And there was another one right behind it, even though it was at home. It was against United, and that's always a tough game. So I was thrilled to get the 3 points. I was thrilled to play the way we did with all the possession that we did. It's good to see Bobby back on the score sheet. That was our 6th clean sheet in a row. This is new territory all over the place. Whether it's the start in a campaign in a top 5 league in Europe, or it's number of clean sheets, or it's the lead that we have at this point and that we've never had before. I mean, all kinds of things happening that are crazy, and we're not in Liverpool. We don't get to go to work and talk about this with 20 different colleagues, or we get to talk amongst friends and people at UJ's, and we get to talk here on the pod, but we're living it kind of 24 hours a day, thinking about it and all the time, but we don't necessarily get to just talk about it constantly. So it's weird to think about it. And I was thrilled to get another clean sheet, another 3 points on the road against a tough team, regardless of how we got it. And it's kind of fun when we get 3 points. We're not playing great, because when we do, we hammer teams like we did Leicester 4-0 and completely dominate. And we're also winning when we don't do that on the road against a tough opponent, and we do it 1-0. And I love it.
Yeah. Let's move on to United. I don't really. It's been long enough that I don't remember specific a lot of play and all that stuff. So let's just move on to United and start talking about that match. So
sounds good.
Manchester United sitting 27 points behind Liverpool and in 5th place in the league. Yes, with as shitty as they've been, they can still make Champions League next year. Brian, you were able to go to Union Jack Pub in beautiful Broad Ripple, where OLSC Indianapolis meets. Can you kind of give us an idea of what the atmosphere was like at Union Jack Pub in beautiful Broad Ripple?
Well, I've been to every game this year, but just a handful there, if I was traveling or, up at a Notre Dame game or whatever. And this was the first game to me that felt like a Champions League semifinal or Champions League final from last year. It felt like the last game of the year last year when, the league wasn't sealed yet. It felt like those games in the run-in 2014. I mean, there was just a buzz in the air. There was just, it wasn't, hey, good morning, how you doing? It was handshakes and hugs and just beers flying and flights everywhere and Jello shots being brought in, and the staff and servers were awesome. And, they're just kind of sitting down, hanging out with us for a few minutes before their shift started. I mean, it was completely packed. It was as big a crowd as I've seen probably since the Champions League final. And a full hour and a half, 2 hours before the game, the seats were taken up both in the upper deck and the lower deck. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. But, the main seating area, there's kind of two separate areas. For those of you who did not watch this match at UJ's, a good hour and a half, 2 hours before the game, it's 95% Liverpool supporters. There's maybe 4 Manchester United supporters in the place. And I think there was only 8 total, even during the match. I mean, it was.
They've run them
we
off,
weren't
Brian.
We weren't like singing songs. We weren't like going crazy, but you could feel it was a big game. You could feel that people were watching for the lineup a little bit more than normal, and there was just a buzz in the air leading up after the game. It was really a lot of fun. I'm glad I was able to go, and it's another reason if you're anywhere in Indiana to try to get to a game at Union Jack Pub in Broad Ripple. I mean, it's the place to watch a Liverpool match in the entire state. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah. So Virgil scores in like the 14th minute. What was it like there?
It wasn't as loud as the Champions League final, but it felt like it was close. I mean, we came out absolutely firing and hitting on all cylinders and attacking and got a corner kick and a good ball played in, and Virgil just buries it. And, the place just explodes. So, upper deck, lower deck, hugging strangers. I mean, the whole thing. It was just, we had said before the game as we're kind of cruising around talking to people, and, people are picking up their Indy Red scarves, and other people we've never seen before are buying them. And, it's just, we were all saying, if we score early, we're going to win this game. Mm-hmm. And, maybe by several. And we've had so many clean sheets lately. And then Virgil scores in 14th, 15th minute, whatever it was, with a great header off a great corner kick and made Maguire look stupid again, which is always fun.
The most expensive defender in the world, Brian. Let's get it right.
Yes, he is. He didn't get nutmegged by Wijnaldum until the second half, so he made it through about 75 minutes without being too stupid. But he did not play that corner very well at all. And we take this early lead, and it's 1-0, and we're loving it. We're singing this song, and we're ordering more beers, and it's exactly what you think it would be with an early goal to take the lead in a big match with a packed house.
Awesome. So, just kind of staying on themes tonight, Jim. How did you feel about the play of the midfield?
I think it was extremely. Well, I shouldn't even use that intensifier. It was critical. I mean, it was really critical to the match, particularly, I think, the way that Gini played in this match.
Yeah, definitely.
He's such an. I'll excuse knowledgeable Liverpool fans from this comment, but for many people, I think he's such an underappreciated player. Somebody who does a lot of cleanup, somebody who spurs the attack, somebody who really links up well with Bobby, I think, in many instances. I was almost heartbroken when the goal that he scored was called offside, because I really wanted him to get on the score sheet in this match. But regardless of that, he was all over the place in this match. And I think it when Fabinho went down, I mean, we were all talking about how worried we were and what was the midfield going to do? How were they going to handle things? What were we going to look like without Fabinho's disruptive presence? Mm-hmm. And honestly, we really haven't missed much of a beat at all. I mean, I chalk that up largely to Gini's play. Also, of course, not taking anything away from Hendo either, because I think they've both been massive. So I think for large stretches of the game, to recap, the midfield was critical in pushing us to where we needed to go.
Henderson, man, I was hoping that one went in. That hit the crossbar. He was so close.
Yeah,
close, and he has one coming. I mean, you just almost feel it. maybe with Fabinho back and he pushes more into that more box to box attacking position, then maybe we'll see something there. But yeah, we'll see. I think you hit the nail on the head with play of the midfield. Brian, you want to add anything at all?
Wijnaldum was our best player in the first half. I mean, this guy is just, like you said, he does it all. Not every game, but he does exactly what we ask him to do every game, whether that's getting forward and creating, whether that's sitting back a little bit and breaking up play, whether that's linking between the back four and Firmino when he drops deep centrally, or maybe linking with the wide players, playing balls wide, linking with Henderson. He does everything we ask him to do. I think, and I'll admit I'm incredibly biased, of course, and I think we all are, and everyone listening to this is. I think he might be the most underrated player in the Premier League, and I don't think that's a big stretch, and I don't think I'm talking from a extreme point of bias here. And he showed it in the first half of this game. He was everywhere and enormous and was just fantastic. He's so strong on the ball. You can't body him off the ball. He's terrific. And he was so good in that first half. I thought Henderson was good. I think some people were talking about how he was amazing. I thought he was a little bit, I don't know. I guess I didn't see his performance nearly as good as Genie's, but I could be wrong about that. What do you think, Joe? I mean, was Hendo right up there with Genie? I
thought they played really well.
Completely nuts.
I
saw people giving Genie or Henderson like 9s and 10s and shit on ratings. So talk to me.
Yeah, I thought he played really well, but like you said, I think Genie was the player. I mean, he was everywhere. He really was everywhere. He's what we need. If Ox had been able to do what Genie was doing at the same time, it could have been a ridiculous scoreline. It really could have been a ridiculous scoreline. And I'm not saying Ox had a bad game. I thought he had a decent game, but Genie was just that good. I'm with you. They call him Ghost because sometimes you just don't know where he is. But he's back. He's dropping back, defending, like you said, just whatever Klopp needs him to. He goes in, listens to the coach. What do you need? And he does that for that match. Granted, he has off matches, but what player doesn't? But yeah, I think he was definitely better than Hendo. I didn't see enough of Henderson being 9 worthy. I mean, maybe if he puts in that one, then maybe we're talking 8.5, getting up there. I could probably give him about 7.5, 8 on the match.
Yeah, I think that's about right. That was a hell of a shot and a good save by De Gea, really, to put that onto the post.
Yeah, it was.
For Hendo's shot, it really was, yeah. So
speaking of missed chances, 2 goals called out for VAR. So I've been listening a little bit, and first of all, I want to talk about the interference with De Gea, or the foul on De Gea call. I'll just say there was contact. Whatever.
There was contact. Whatever. Is that an official law of the game? That is an official law of the game.
There was contact.
There was contact. Whatever.
There was contact. I'm not as upset about the fact that I think De Gea initiated the contact, as opposed to Van Dijk. I don't know. It's gray enough. I don't think he was going for the ball, but Van Dijk straightens his body out and doesn't go to make the contact. He doesn't look. He looks back once at De Gea, knows he's going to be coming, so that's how he changes his body. But he's trying to play the ball.
Yeah, that's not a foul. There's the guy coming. Is this going to be contested or not?
Yeah. So
well, now he knows that, right?
But I mean, I just don't think it was clear and obvious. But I'm okay with it because we won the game. Now, if we had drawn or lost, I'd be pissed. I'd be the first one out there calling for VAR to be out the door, because first of all, it's Manchester United. Second of all, it was kind of gray. I mean, when you have Gary Neville calling it soft and Roy Keane saying that it shouldn't have been a foul at all, and that's for Manchester
Roy
United.
Keane's going to say that.
Oh man, did you see that Roy Keane Kara exchange last night?
I did not.
Oh, you need to look it up. It's wild.
About giving Solskjaer more time and Frank Lampard's giving the benefit of the doubt only because he's English and all that kind of stuff.
Kind of stuff like that. It was kind of funny, but
it was.
But we'll get back to that anyway. I think he could have said I played advantage on it because De Gea fouled Van Dijk, but conclusive, I don't know. I don't think there was indisputable evidence. Maybe that's American football that they say that in, but I don't think there was enough to overturn the call. And if there was, it was soft and it shouldn't have been given. And it really took away a great shot from Bobby, and that kind of pissed me off too.
I can see that all as a reasonable argument, but. Two factors. One, it's the goalkeeper. So the goalkeeper in that situation is going to be more likely to get the call than it is if we're a field player. But secondly, I think if you watch the play from the perspective of the goal, so when they were looking at VAR, you're looking at it from the side, like from the stands. But there's one angle that's from behind the goal, and when you watch that replay, the contact looks more forceful than it does from the side view. So, I mean, that's the other perspective. I can't say I disagree with you. My heart agrees with you, Joe, but my heart has shit for brains. So, when I saw the play, I was like, okay, yeah, fine.
Exactly.
I wasn't too hacked off about it. What I was upset about was every 6 United players were screaming and cursing at the ref, and De Gea gets a yellow card, but nobody else does. I mean, especially Harry Maguire was in his face and fuck you this and all that stuff. And I was surprised that Harry Maguire didn't get a yellow card too.
They're appealing it, by the way. They're appealing.
What's that?
They're appealing De Gea's yellow card.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Well,
that's what I heard.
They lost. Who cares?
Exactly.
There's no way that yellow card should go away.
No, it should. He made contact with an official, and that's what he got the yellow card for. But I
don't know if he made contact with him, but he's definitely wagging his finger in his face really close.
Yeah.
They were screaming and yelling twice as loud as anybody else.
No, I agree.
Like 5 or 6 United players bumping up against Craig Pawson and getting in his face. And I if I were the ref, well, maybe I'm just a hard-ass jerk, but I'm not going to take any of that crap.
Yeah.
Yellow card for you. Yellow card for you. No soup for you,
Yeah, you can't give out 4 yellow cards there. I think you give out.
I'm being ridiculous.
I know you know that, but giving out more than 1 is feasible. I think 2 is probably the max, but it's also reasonable to give out 1 yellow card to the player that was the most egregious or had the most obvious dissent, or maybe language was used by one guy more than others, or whatever it was.
Give it to De Gea, but also give it to the captain. I mean, for not controlling his players. I mean,
you can't yellow card a captain just because one of the other players did something stupid, unless you're
sorry. If in a situation like that, yes, because it should be understood that the captain's the only one that should be going up to an official and bitching to that extent. I mean, look at it. You don't see that. You don't see that from Liverpool. Jordan Henderson's up there chewing ear a lot, but it's Jordan Henderson or it's James Milner when he's captain.
Yeah.
So that's my take. But anyway, Brian, tell us where we're wrong on the whole De Gea, Virgil van Dijk foul.
Well, at first all UJs were all surprised that the foul was not given, and I hear people saying he didn't call it, or fuck yeah, play on, or go to hell, De Gea, whatever. And Bobby hasn't even shot yet, and Mane hasn't even played in the ball yet, or hasn't even gone in and won the tackle off of. I think it was off of Maguire he won it off of. But to Jim's point, if you watch the angle behind the goal, and there's another angle from that kind of I'm going to call it a drone, and that's not the right word. It's the camera that's mounted on the cables that kind of runs the length of the pitch.
The overhead
it's kinda,
camera.
Yeah, the overhead camera. It's kind of hanging maybe however many feet in the air, right at the top of the attacking third. That angle and the angle that Jim talked about, it's a clear foul, in my opinion. And I know some people might say it's not, or, Gary Neville's initial reaction when he just dropped it, I think, was looking at a bad angle, and that was done. I watched the commentary back. That was done in the first, 10 seconds after it happened, after, Martin Tyler stopped cussing about Liverpool scoring again on the Sky broadcast. But I think if you look back and watch the other angles, it's clearly a foul. And even here's what it is. If that happened at our end, we'd be pissed.
Yes, we would.
If that was given as a goal, because Virgil goes up to try to win this header, and he goes up straight. He doesn't go up with his elbow flying in the air. He doesn't go up with a leg sticking out or anything crazy. But he gets more of De Gea than Virgil gets of the ball. If Virgil got any of the ball anyway, I don't think he even did. So for that to stand, I think the attacking player has to get some ball. And I don't know that Virgil got any, and he certainly got enough of De Gea, obviously, for it to be a foul. So I don't really have a problem with that being overturned. I even said it at UJ's while they were, if it was VR was still happening like that, that's going to be called a foul. And it's not some genius by saying that, but it turns out I was right. But the thing about the yellow card that's being, I did not hear that they were whatever you call it, trying to have that rescinded or appealed rather. The FA's answer needs to be that not every player that was arguing got a yellow card. It was just the one guy that crossed the line. So,
but they won't, because it's Manchester United.
That's exactly. I bet you they will. That's exactly what they'll do.
What?
So he could have argued exactly like the other five guys were who didn't get yellow cards, and you'd be fine. But instead, this player went over the line by doing X, Y, or Z, so the call stands.
Yeah, we'll see.
If VAR was going to look at it and he had a chance to argue in a different way, he chose to cross the line, and the yellow card stands. That's exactly what should happen. I hope I'm right, but you might be right.
I'm cynical. Because we've seen, how many times have we seen the refs give stuff to Manchester United that nobody else gets? And it's just me.
Well, I know their Kitzelar doesn't give him
rules.
A decent-looking away kit. I know that.
God, that looks like shit, didn't it? Man, it looked like baby shit. Literally.
It was like they mixed a turd with salmon, and that was the kit color.
It's kind of a weird salmon base, but sometimes it looks yellow, like you've had too much to drink. Piss yellow. It's just
coffee piss.
It's weird. This is the age of neon away kits and Manchester City's Tequila Sunrise kit and all kinds of crazy stuff. And Manchester United trots out this crappy looking terrible thing. I think it's hilarious, but
this is horrendous.
It's pretty bad. At least they're not the same color shorts, and because they have the terrible color socks. Imagine if they were just all one color. That'd be awesome. Awesomely bad.
I can't believe Adidas put that out, in all honesty. I don't know.
Anybody that's listening, if you've ever seen one of those in person, snap a picture and send it to us on Facebook or Twitter, because I don't know if anybody's ever bought one other than the club to buy them for their players.
All right. So Ginny has a great play, great goal, called offsides. I watching it, I missed the player on the backside, and he's off by a country mile. And then I see them draw the VAR line, and I'm like, ooh, that's close. Now, granted, they went pretty quick and still said he was offside. Looking back on that, do you think that maybe we should have had a better look at that and see if his armpit was actually onside?
Oh, God. Can we stop talking about armpits? We've only talked about it 5,000 times.
Fine. How about shoulders? No, I get what you're saying, Jim. And
it's top of the shoulders. There was some VAR talk at UJ's, though, about this specific play.
Okay, so what do you think?
By the ladies that were there watching with all the Indy Reds, and we have some terrific, ladies to watch with us.
So what was the take then, Brian?
Genie's a good-looking dude. We'll say that. And I'm a guy comfortable in saying that, because he is. He's a better-looking dude than I am. That's for damn sure. The comment was made that maybe Genie's terrific ass was offside, and if you draw the line, on the screen, I think that might have been the case. And a couple of females were there at UJ's for saying that, and I found it to be just charming and fantastic, and I loved it.
Oh man, we'll see if it had been Raheem Sterling. He definitely would have been offside. He's got big bottom, small. Okay, moving on. So, Jim, you concerned? We missed quite a few chances. Mo has one. He wrong foots it, gets it tangled up in his feet. It was a sitter. Kara's disappointed up in the box. Watched that replay today of the box. Martin Tyler, Gary Neville, and Kara. What do you think, man? Is there any need for concern, or it is what it is?
No, I don't think there's any need for concern. Mane missed one too. I think Genie played him in, or maybe Genie played the ball in. It was deflected off a defender. I think this was in the first half, and Mane should have first timed the ball and kind of bobbled off his shin after he tried to control it. So yeah, we had chances that we could have converted but didn't. The score could have been. I think I texted you that it could have been 4 or 5-0 at the end of the day, but I don't see the sense in rehashing that now, because I just don't think that lack of good finishing is a chronic problem for the team. So if we're winning and we're still scoring goals and we need to score goals, at the end of the day, that's all that matters, in my opinion.
Brian, you concerned at all with some missed sitters?
Salah should have put that away. When you're talking about it,
true.
He absolutely should have. But nobody scores every single chance they have, whether it's a half chance or a sitter or somewhere in between. If that's the case, then Spurs would have had a couple, and United would have had one or two, because they had a couple of decent chances, especially in the second half when they were better. So I'm not concerned about it. Mo's a guy that can miss a couple of those and then score in 3 or 4 consecutive games.
Yeah.
Bobby was hot for the last month or so. Mane hasn't been.
No.
But, I think Mane's chances this game were a little bit tougher. The one that Jim just mentioned was really one I thought he was going to hit first time, and he, for whatever reason, just kind of chose not to. And I think he's obviously wishing he had just taken it first time. But the one that Salah he goes off his left heel, his right ankle, and off his left foot again, and then trickles wide at about 4 miles an hour while De Gea stands there looking at it.
Yeah.
Looking back, I would love if that would have just trickled in over the line off the post or something. That would have been, we'd have been laughing our asses off and ordering more beers. But, I'm not that worried about it. We've got 2 matches coming up here in the next handful of days that we're going to talk about later, and it's Mo Salah. I'm not worried about it. So, Origi does that 4 or 5 games in a row. I'm worried about it, but not Mo.
All right, Brian, talk to me about Mo Salah's goal.
Just crazy. I don't think there's been an assist by a goalkeeper in the league for a long, long time. So let's start there and maybe work towards the goal. But United's kind of building up and having some chances, a lot of possession. We're kind of trying to hang on there. We're in stoppage time now.
We're not clearing the ball very well.
Sorry?
We're not clearing the ball very well.
No, we're not. We're not. It's a little bit aimless at times, and we're mishitting a couple of them, and we're not winning those second balls. And we'd already made our substitutions, and Bobby's not out there to clean up the messes that he usually does so well. And
true.
Fabinho's out there and sitting deep, but United kind of plays the ball over the top, and I think it was Mata that was offsides by like 10 yards, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he kind of goes and plays the ball and gets a piece of it. And I'm going to sidebar this for a second. All these United supporters are going crazy about how that should be offsides and it should be an indirect free kick from there. And the referee puts his arm in the air and calls for an indirect free kick are absolute fucking morons.
He doesn't.
Well, he puts his hand up in the air. I've got a picture of it, and I'll post it on the Facebook page you're going to mention or in the show notes. The referee puts his arm up, and he puts a thumbs up because the linesman flags for offsides like he's supposed to. And the referee immediately puts his thumbs up, and the linesman, they quickly cut to the linesman with his flag up, and his flag's already down, and his thumb is up as well. And the referee, I guarantee you, the referee says play on, and there's no whistle.
Yeah, there's no whistle. That's
I guess
the
I
big
can't
thing.
guarantee that he said play on, but I believe that he did, and there's no whistle, right?
They tell us they're supposed to play to the whistle, It's the same thing in American football. There's no whistle. Keep playing.
All match. Just like playing. Both teams did all match all year. So the United supporters are saying that needs to be an indirect free kick, and Alisson cannot or should not be allowed to punt the ball out like he did to Salah, or just really stupid. And then the other United supporters that believe that Salah should be offside because he was closer to the goal than United defenders.
Or the ball was also played, idiots because
Salah's in his own half by 20 fucking yards.
Yeah.
So I don't believe it, and this is maybe the earliest ever non-plug in the history of the podcast, but learn the fucking offside rules, you dumbasses. I mean, it's just so Alisson catches this ball, play on happens. Salah's hanging out in the center circle. You know, Owen does this all the time in some games, and it's a good thing for a striker to do if you see a back line that's way too far up the field. Mm-hmm. I don't blame United for doing that because they're trying to get an equalizer and it's stoppage time. But Salah's hanging out in the center circle. Alisson makes his catch and immediately plays this beautiful ball. And I'll let Jim take it there because I've been going on and on and on. But Alisson plays this great ball, Jim, and it's all Mo at that point.
It is. It's off to the races. And I don't remember who was on him as a defender, but
was that fast dude? Sorry to jump in on you.
David James.
He was fast. What the hell's his name? James, I think.
Yeah, David James.
Okay.
Yeah, he's faster than hell. I was surprised.
So
yes,
James
is David James.
Yeah. So Mo holds him off and just coolly slots it in and rips the shirt off, shows us his Adonis-like six-pack, and Alisson sprints the length of the pitch, does a knee slide, and there they are hugging in front of the cop. It was great.
It was fabulous. He throws his undershirt out to the crowd, too. He's like, I'm not putting this back on. Game's almost over. No, but it was great. It was great to see. Great for Mo to score against United, because there's been all that talk all week about how Mo has never scored against Manchester United. That goes back to the Chelsea days, too. Is this a bad luck team or whatever? Mo kind of feeds off of that in the press and says, yeah, we drew last time. That's because I was injured, which actually comes up in the post-match interview. They brought it up and he's like, oh, I was just being funny or something like that. But yeah, it was fun. Man. So that kind of leads me to the next part. And we're talking about these mentality monsters, and that's what we keep hearing about from Liverpool. Or about Liverpool, and I just want to talk about a couple of the post-match interviews. I've been very critical of NBC this season about how we don't get full match replays unless we pay for gold. But one of the things that they do is do extended highlights, and then those usually include discussion from their in-house panel, but also it has the post-match interviews. So just kind of summarizing some of the stuff that I heard in those that I want to attribute to the mentality monsters. So Klopp is saying post-match how he was happy with about 89 to 90% of the match. He's not fully happy, and we need to keep improving. The team that is 16 points clear of second place at the table needs to keep improving. He's also saying that he's not smart enough and there's not enough space in his brain to think of anything but Wolves on Thursday. Love it. All right, so Henderson and Salah are also they're down on the pitch getting on-field interview from Sky Sports, but the only thing you keep hearing them say about is they're kind of deflecting, and they're saying, we got to focus on the next game. Next game's Wolverhampton. We're going to focus on them. We'll have a recovery day. We're going to get right on this. Yep, this match is done. I'll tell you a little bit about it, but we got to focus on Wolves. And that's something that you wouldn't hear from most people, especially to that extent. Also, one of the things that for me, Hendo, I mean, he's deflecting, and well, heck, I guess Salah was too, deflecting all this kind of personal acclaim from the match or things that have gone on this season, and they just keep focusing. I know I've said it 100 times already, but they keep focusing on the next game. And Hendo's saying that he was frustrated at times and that we need to improve. Again, this is the team that's in first place in the league, 16 points clear, needs to improve. This is fabulous. As a fan, this is the stuff that I love. I love it almost as much. Well, I love it more than Steven Gerrard huddling everybody up together saying we go again. So yeah, I mean, they keep calling us mentality monsters, and we are truly winning the mental game. So guys, how do you feel about this kind of attitude? How do you think it reflects? Does this make you happy, or you're like, yeah, whatever, it's just talk, they're not really thinking that way? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Jim.
This is precisely what I want to see a team that I love do. I have a friend who is a professor out in New York. He teaches at Syracuse, and he's originally from Scotland, and he's been a Liverpool fan for probably at least 3 decades, if not more. Since the glory days of the 80s, and one of the things that he and I have been talking about are just how hard this team works. I don't think I've ever seen a team so focused on a goal. And I'm not talking about scoring a goal. I'm talking about achieving the league title. It's as if they took that 1 point difference from last season and said, look, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that's going to get in our way of grabbing that trophy as soon as we can. I think if you look from the starting 11 through the bench, and you look at the players that we have, I don't know that you can say we have the absolutely most talented 23 from top to bottom. There's an argument for it, but I think if you compare to City, for example, I mean, just purely in terms of talent and what City has in their disposal when everybody's healthy, they probably have a more talented top 23 than we do. But I don't think that they have the guts and the focus that our players do. And it makes me proud to be a Liverpool fan because of that just mental strength that we have.
Bryan, this team gives the appearance that they're not just playing for themselves. They're playing for the name on the front of the jersey, but they're also playing for their team. Do you kind of get that sense as well? They're playing for their teammates. This is kind of what I meant. Do you kind of get that feeling as well, or how do you feel about that?
I completely agree. I mean, they're quick to praise each other as opposed to trying to take accolades and doing silly stuff like Eriksen's doing and being dismissive and all that kind of stuff. And not only are they playing for each other, I think that they are connected with supporters, especially those that are going to ManField every single week and following them on away matches and distant matches in Europe. I mean, this club is as connected to a group of supporters as any I've ever seen, and I don't think there's any bias in that. You don't get empty seats. You get full away sections, even in Europe. You get full sections for FA Cup match for the kids to play, and they stayed the entire game and applauded the kids off the field. There's a great I don't even remember what podcast it was. It was either Anfield Rap or Redman, and those are probably two of the best out there. They interviewed it might have even been Blood Red. Sorry, they interviewed the manager. I can't remember the guy that was managing that team, to be honest. Now, forgive me. Was talking about how incredible it was that all those supporters stayed for that match, and they lost to Villa in the cup. Was it 5-0 when the rest of the guys were over in Qatar? Yeah, and they stayed and applauded them off the pitch. Those kids, and how important that was. There's a special thing going on here between this manager and this group of players that it's built up to this point, and they've made so many great decisions with transfers and training and tactics, and maybe a little bit of luck here and there when another team misses a sitter, but we're also creating more chances than anybody else. We have the fewest fouls committed in the Premier League, so we're a clean team, and the supporters worldwide are fantastic. And there's just so many things happening at the same time that are just incredible. And that's why you have the greatest start in the first 22 games of any team in the top flight in the history of European football. That is not something to dismiss as a one-off or something that can be replicated. I mean, we're talking thousands of teams, different players and different managers, and hundreds of seasons in the top handful of leagues in Europe. And no one's ever done this over the first 22 games. No Barca team, no Real Madrid team, no United team, no Bayern Munich team has ever done this over the first 22 games. And we're watching it, and I'm just thrilled to even think about it. we were talking about colleagues. I have a colleague at work in the legal department who's from Swansea, and we talk pretty much every Monday about the Premier League, and he's hoping this, Swansea comes back up. He's been saying for a month and a half, you're going to win the league, you're winning the league, and I've been doing the kind of the Klopp thing.
Yeah.
We'll see. There's a long way to go, and that kind of stuff. And fuck that. I'm singing the song tomorrow.
There you go, Bryan. So we'll get there in 1 second, but I want to do one thing. I want to go to you, Jim, first. Who was your man of the match? And feel free to shout out anybody else that you think had a really spectacular match.
I've been thinking about this. It's just for me, it's a really tough call because I thought across the board, we were just impressive. And if you had to press me, I would say maybe Virgil, but I think you could make an argument for several other players. What do you guys think?
We already talked about Jenny, but I'm going to jump in, Bryan. Jenny's going to get mine. I think he was fantastic the whole match. I really kind of want to give it to Salah, but he misses that sitter. He scores that great goal. I don't think Alisson also is on my honorable mention list, but I don't think he was active. He was forced to be active enough. But what a heads up play! Heads up play to find Mo streaking. That was just freaking awesome.
Mo streaking, I like it. Well, he wasn't really streaking until after he scored. He took his shirt off, but hey,
different streaking.
That's interesting.
You bring up.
Sorry, go ahead.
Streaking down the sideline. Come on, it's a little different.
I like it. It's interesting you brought up Alisson. I watched a bit of the Spurs match today. Knowing we were going to talk about it tonight, and I haven't watched it since I didn't watch it back, and other than watching it when I got home last weekend. But Alisson's been really, really good in this stretch of clean sheets. What he's doing is he's making tough saves look easy, or maybe tough saves look average, and he hasn't really had to make anything spectacular in a long time. But another thing he does is he doesn't give up any rebounds. He's catching things and holding on to them, even if they're just kind of run-of-the-mill saves or maybe slightly tough saves. He's catching everything. There's no rebounds, and when he does isn't able to catch the ball and hang on to it, he's putting the ball out for a corner or out wide. He's not giving up anything back in the middle that can get tapped in, or he's just so good. It's ridiculous. I don't have him in my man of the. Sorry, go ahead.
That's an area he's improved his game because it wasn't that way last year. And that was one of my.
Really, I think he was always good at that. I don't remember him doing a whole lot of it last year.
When we signed him, I was.
You might be right. Maybe he's been working on it.
I was nervous about it when we signed him.
Really,
I remember watching highlight reels, and he makes a save, but it looks like he puts it right back into play.
Yeah.
Quite a few times.
That's when he was dealing with Roma's defense in front of him in Roma's midfield. So,
true.
What was the stat? I'm going to get the numbers wrong. I've been talking about a couple stats tonight, but I think he's given up something like 18 goals at Anfield since he arrived, or he's only given up 18 goals in games played at Anfield, and 5 of them when he was playing for Roma against us, or something like that. Something ridiculous, which was kind of cleverly done by whoever looked that up. So, but he's not in my man of the match conversation, although he was solid. against United. For me, it comes down to Virgil and Gini. It's hard not to have Virgil in the conversation. He defended well all game, tons of clearances, was dangerous on set pieces, obviously got the goal. I don't think he got beat all game and had a couple of good tackles, a block shot or two, a couple headed clearances. So for me, it's either him or Gini. I'm going to give it to Gini because I think that Hendo's performance was a little bit overrated, although he was very good, and I think Ox was a little bit subpar. That's why he was subbed off.
And I think that's why he was.
So Gini,
he knew it.
Gini did everything everywhere. So I'm giving it to Gini.
I think Ox was mad when he got taken off because he didn't like his performance on the day. There's video of him slamming stuff around, and he was mad at his performance. I think that's why I'm taking it.
Yeah, and you know what? That's all right. That's good. He'll be ready to go for Thursday against Wolves.
He definitely will. All right, so we've been reluctant to say it, but guys, we're gonna win the league. We heard it ringing out around Anfield, and now we're gonna say it. I've been waiting for January to say it. January to be over. I thought this is probably our toughest stretch coming out of a packed December and playing Manchester United, Spurs, and away at Wolves. Was kind of going to be a very tough stretch for us. But, I mean, they were singing at Anfield, so I'm ready to sing it now, too.
Yep.
We're going to win.
Let me ask you about that, because you guys, I watched at UJ's, and you guys watched presumably at home or on some type of replay or whatever. And after Salah scores, and he's getting his yellow card for having his shirt taken off, the cop just breaks out and just absolutely starts belting it. You guys, that's when you guys saw that, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
So at UJ's, we're all still going berserk and jumping up and down and hugging each other and cheering and yelling. We did not hear the commentary. We did not hear them singing it. I had no idea that the cop was singing that until I got home from UJ's about an hour after the game was over. Immediately went back and was watching highlights with earbuds in my ears, way too damn loud. And that's when I realized that they started singing it. And I'll never forget that moment. Nobody else was home. It was just me. I'll never forget hearing that. And I had no idea that they had sung it because at UJ's we couldn't hear that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, everybody that was at UJ's did not know they were singing that. So I don't know if anybody else had a similar experience to me. I did not know they sung until I got home. And it was almost like a jaw-dropping moment. I knew it was coming at some point that they were going to sing it, but it felt so spontaneous and so definitive and so perfect after a late goal against United to just let it go and just everybody starts singing it. I loved it. So this is going to happen, but exactly when is the question. Is this going to happen, right, Joe?
So, yeah, I mean, it's not – I have it right here. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. It really is. So I ran a little bit of the math, everybody. I took a short lunch break today and then sat down with Excel and ran some math. So let's just
Excel. Even I like it.
Let's make some assumptions. Well, I kind of understand formulas. All right. So if we and City both win all of our matches, Liverpool would win the league at Manchester City. Granted, that would be the first match that either team would lose. It would be at Manchester City at the Etihad, in front of maybe about 5,000 people, all from Liverpool.
5,000 people. So let's talk about this. If you're playing along at home and you're trying to make some plans, the first option here is right now it's Saturday, April 4th. Now they may move some things around. It might be a Sunday. You never know. They might adjust some things for TV. But we play City as of right now, Saturday, April 4th. So that's one possibility.
Okay.
That's if nobody loses between now and then, right?
Yep. If we win everything and let's just say City gets a draw at Spurs, that's in 2 weeks, I think, then it is still we can win the league with a draw at Manchester City. If Liverpool win all their matches, and let's just say that City draw Spurs and Leicester, their February looks shitty, by the way. Then we can win it at home against Crystal Palace.
I like that.
Oh, that would
I'm voting for that one so far.
I would love that. Not only because it's at home, but it would erase the shitty memories of that 3-3 draw at Palace in 2014.
I had not thought of that angle. I really want them to win it at home, with a win or a result at home. That's what I really want. But I had not thought about erasing the ghosts of the Palace past. That's a good point.
If City lose in the next month, but win the rest, we're still looking at home against Palace. And then if multiple losses, put it up to clinch at Everton in mid-March.
That is March 14th, which is a Saturday.
Yeah.
That might move to Sunday the 15th. The Palace game is set for the 21st of March, which is also a Saturday right now. Again, might move to a Sunday. But, yeah, what do you think about winning this at Goodison?
No, I'd rather win it at home.
Me too.
I'd rather win it at
same.
home. But the moral of the story is, guys, for Liverpool, just win, baby. Let City be City. They actually kind of have a tougher rest of January and February. They've got 2 cup matches. They have to play Sheffield. I forgot to see. They have to play at Sheffield. They're playing Spurs and Leicester in the league in that time frame, and they have one of their Real Madrid matches. Listening to Grant Wall today, Real Madrid's actually playing a lot better than they had this season and might still creep in and win La Liga. So, they've got a tough January, February. Ours isn't really a slouch, but we're not playing any top 6 teams. Get the rest of this month. I don't think we play another top 6 team until we play City.
Well, we play at Wolves, and then at West Ham.
West Ham's not top 6. Twice.
Right, then we play at home against Southampton, then we play at Norwich, then we play at home against West Ham, at Watford, at home against Bournemouth, and then the Everton match we just mentioned. So, yeah, not a whole lot of unbelievable opponents between now and then Everton, Palace, City that we mentioned there on the 14th, 21st, and 4th of April.
Is that
we do have the 2-leg tie against Atletico Madrid
Yes.
in that time span too.
That's correct.
That will not be easy.
And we have FA Cup, but I have a feeling that we're going to play the youth against Shrewsbury.
I would guess that that's correct.
What about just playing the youth the whole damn way and see if they can go win the damn thing?
Hey,
that would be hilarious.
We're just the team
semifinals or finals or something
of youth trying to win the FA Cup again. Oh man, how awesome would that be?
We're gonna win the FA. We're gonna win. Never mind.
We're gonna win the FA with our reserve team. With our reserve
none of our
team.
Harvey Elliott.
None of our players can shave. None of our players can shave. We're gonna win the FA Cup. Hey, Joe, you talk about being the biggest jinx ever. But I'm gonna call out my good friend Bobak Latfalian right now. He jinxed the hell out of us.
All right.
I watched at U Days with him and with his brother Ali and with Mr. and Mrs. Latfalian, who I haven't seen since the Liverpool game up in South Bend. So it's always good to see them. So Bobak says after the game, wouldn't it be terrible? And I'm paraphrasing here. Sorry, Bobak, but wouldn't it be awful if we win the league when we're not even playing because somebody else drew or lost? And it was like a little bit anticlimactic. So, and that is certainly possible. We get a result and City or Leicester, whoever it is in second, play after us, or the following weekend they play before us and they don't get a result and we win the league while we're not even on the pitch. So, Bobak, biggest jinx of all time, and if it happens, I'll hug you anyway. But damn, that was a downer.
No, I want to win it. I want it to be won at Anfield, in front of those people that have been with this team the past 30 years, that haven't seen us lift it. And I want to see every single one of them bawling their eyes out, tears of happiness. And I want to get a guard of honor everywhere I can, especially with as salty as all these opposition fans have been this year and how they're creating hashtags with tainted title and all that bullshit. That's just annoying me. I'm not getting upset really because seriously, I don't believe it. Live our pool, all that kind of shit is just annoying. And it might have started out as a joke, but let's just talk about this weekend. It sure didn't help us this weekend.
Yeah, it could have been 4-0 without it.
Exactly. Should have been 4-0. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going there. All right.
12-0.
So yeah, just win, baby. I forget who coined that phrase. But anyway, just win, baby. Might
just win, baby.
Jones.
Wasn't it a Nike thing?
No.
Hey, just like our shirts next year.
All right, so let's.
No, Nike was just do it. Sorry about that.
That's correct.
Right. Let's chat a little bit about the transfer window. So Klopp's saying that we're not going to be active, buying or selling. I'm going to hold him to it. However, rumors still persist that Shaqiri is being pursued by Roma. Those were fueled even more on the weekend when Shaqiri didn't make the bench, but I think he was sick, is what they said. But also last week there's been discussion that Havertz from Bayern Leverkusen could really is really interested in joining Liverpool. And then today, Monday, Timo Werner wants to join Liverpool this summer, and it comes from Bild. And if you're following along on your transfer speculation hierarchy of accuracy, Bild's a level 2. That's on with James Pearce, Mel Reddy, others in that ilk. So who knows?
Yeah, Bild is no Daily Mirror or some Twitter guy. You're right. That's legit.
Yeah. So,
Joe, did you get a picture of Timo Werner and get some private time at the house for about 10 minutes or so? Or?
No,
because Brian already stole my thunder.
No, I'm a little nervous about that. I'm a little nervous about that rumored hearing concern about it getting too loud and him getting disoriented. So I don't know.
See, I'm imagining the door's locked and your wife's like, "What are you doing in there?" And you say, "I'm reading Bild." And then probably would get away with it.
No, not this time. So we know that to keep winning, you have to keep evolving. You have to keep bringing in young people. Do you guys think that Havertz or Werner would really come to LFC knowing that they're going to get limited playing time? And how do you think maybe we can make it work? Jim, do you have any thoughts to start?
I'm going to plead ignorance because I have not really seen much of either player playing aside from maybe the occasional German national team match. So I hate to punt, but I'm going to punt on this one. I just don't know enough about their abilities or playing style to know how they would fit in or how our tactics and formation might change based on the particular player.
Brian, what do you think? And it could be based off of what you've played in FIFA.
Well, I'd have to ask Owen about that because he plays like FIFA all the time, and I just don't get to because he's still on the PlayStation for his room. But that's for the different podcast I'm on called Angry Daddies. But so
I think we're both on.
Yeah,
that
I think
podcast.
everybody knows. Yeah, there you go. Everybody knows, Timo Werner. He's. I looked it up today just to make sure. He's 23. He's dynamic. He scores. He's
great on the
fast.
ball.
He's versatile. He's 2-footed. He's terrific. I'd love to have him. And I know, Joe, you would love him. And I was teasing about that earlier. There's a reason why you love the guy so much. He's everything I just mentioned. He's only 23. Would fit in very well on this side. He's kind of versatile and he could play really anywhere across the front three. He could play if we ever switch to, two guys up front or in the 4-2-3-1, he could play any of the front four positions. He's terrific. So I'd love to get him. I don't know where he'd fit in because I think we get him if Shaqiri leaves, or we're looking at him if the Shaqiri rumors are substantial or perhaps real. We're looking to do a replacement. Not that he's a like for Shaqiri. I think he's a much, much better player than Shaqiri probably ever will be. Uh-huh. And I like Shaqiri, so I'd love to get him. I know you would. You'd probably buy a shirt right away.
No.
But, Havertz he's like a 6'1" or 6'2". I know he's over 6 foot midfielder. He's only 20.
Yep.
He's a Leverkusen right now.
Lighting him up.
Sorry?
I think he's fighting Lewandowski for the scoring title.
Yeah, he's a dynamic, attacking kind of midfielder type, and he's only 20, and he's already playing for the German national team. He hasn't had 10 appearances yet. I looked that up. I think it's 7 or 8. But he's had some really good performances, in their U19s and U17s, and he scored at every step of the way. He's already scored for the senior national team. I know that. And he's, I think if these rumors about him are real, then I have to say the rumors about Gene Wijnaldum are possibly real, and that's really the only thing that I think that's causing this to kind of have some legs.
Yeah,
we think the rumors about Genie are possibly real because Genie's doesn't his contract end after? Is it this season,
no,
guys, or
is
it?
He has one more year left. He has one more year left, so there's discussion.
1 year left, but he's not young anymore. He certainly isn't 20 like Havertz is.
No, it's.
I think Genie's 29 maybe or something like that.
You don't want to see him leave, and plus he's a great locker room guy. But he is in that point in his age. He is starting to get to that age where it's time to start looking on. I mean, I don't see him being a James Milner and having a resurgence at 34 years old. Genie
Wijnaldum right now is 29. He turns 30 in November.
Okay, so November,
he is 29 and a half right now as we're recording.
His contract being up will be 30 and a half when his contract is up. Steven Gerrard was 35 when he left, and that was Steven Gerrard.
Yeah, I don't remember how old Gerrard was. I don't think he was 35. I think he might have been younger than that, but he wasn't, 32 or anything like that. That's for sure.
No. So, I mean, you're kind of getting at that gray area, but you don't want to lose that locker room guy. I mean, they're talking about how it was Ginny that got Mo and Monty back together after that dust up about not passing and them fighting on the bench or whatever, but it was Ginny that calmed everybody down and got them back together kind of thing. I think Klopp played a part of that too, but that's what kind of stuff we're hearing. This locker room is so tight knit. I really don't want to think of anybody leaving. I mean, you kind of get the idea that Shaq's kind of on the periphery, but I mean, if you go onto Instagram and Ginny's the guy that's liking everybody's posts like first. Rhian Brewster, this was really cool. I don't know if you saw this. Rhian Brewster kind of goes onto Instagram and shares a picture of him celebrating his first professional goal. Every single first team player that's on Instagram liked it or said some like attaboy, keep it up, all that kind of stuff. This is a kid that's out on loan, but they're supporting him still. I love it. I love it. Every minute of it. So and Gini Wijnaldum is one of those guys too. I don't want to see Gini leave, but I think maybe we might start to, let's just say he stays, I could see his role being reduced a little bit. Maybe he's ready to go back to Holland, and be with his family. But I think he wants to play at the highest level because we're 2 years away from a World Cup, and I think he wants to be on that roster. And we'll see how things go with the Euros this year.
Good call. The Euros are coming, and his last World Cup is on the calendar, and it's right around the corner.
Yep. A year and a half, almost 2 years from right now, because they're playing it in the winter.
I suppose he could make the bench when he'd be 35 and a half. No, he'd be 36 and a half at the one after that. So, yeah, this might be it.
Well, if he's still kicking
around.
World
Cups goes.
If he's still kicking around for, like, Ederlock.
He could make the USA national team, that's for sure, but that's not going to happen. So.
Yeah.
Jim, you have a shot at your last World Cup this next time around. I hope you've been working on your clearances and that. Jim's a center back, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried, though, because even though the tournament's going to be in December, it's still going to be hot as hell. So, what can you do?
Actually, Brian, if Havertz comes, we might see a reduced role in Ginny, but I think we sell Marko Grujic.
Well, I think Lallana leaves too.
Well, I think Lallana's almost written on to leave. I think he's ready to go find mid-table, lower-table team that he gets to play a little bit more in. I think he's done. I think he's kind of trying to get his swan song in. Anyway, we're kind of rambling now, so let's just go ahead and start and move on to Wolves. The Reds travel to Wolverhampton to take on that plucky sixth-place side, Wolverhampton Wanderers. So, how are you guys feeling about this match? And Adama Traore. Brian.
Swole Traore.
I just sold Traore on the fantasy league that I'm in because he hasn't done much the last couple of weeks. So, he's an interesting player. But, he's not their best player by any stretch. So, they've had a good year. It's going to be a tough game. But I think we have a good chance to come out with 3 points for sure. So I think we'll probably see a very, predictable lineup. The only thing that I'm really not sure about is the midfield. Fabinho ready to go and start. Do we not start Ox because he hasn't played 90 minutes the last 2 games? He was subbed out against Spurs and against United. Do you rest Hendo and put Fabinho in there? Who knows? So the midfield is the only place I'm not really sure about. I'd start the front 3. I'd start our normal back 4, and also Alisson, obviously, and come out flying like we normally do, get an early goal, and get 3 points. That's what I'm hoping for. What do you think, Jim, either about the match or the lineup, or any thoughts on Wolves? Other than Trey and his new wife is there in Wolverhampton right now, as I say.
Yeah, Trey took a selfie, right? Well, I don't know if it was selfie. I'm guessing that Peyton took the picture, but that's Trey's wife, by the way, folks.
Yes. Trey, we should say, has been on the podcast before and is the chairman of the official Liverpool Supporters Club in Indianapolis, and one of the best guys you'll ever meet.
And one of the best media guys in the USL.
Yes, he is.
Indeed.
Yes.
Did you know that he did the open tryout for Indy 11?
He did. What? Yeah, there's some stuff from him on Twitter, on Indy 11's Twitter account. Indy 11's our local club here in Indianapolis, and they had an open tryout for area players. And Trey is the I'm gonna get his title wrong. Sorry, Trey, but kind of communications manager and media director, and runs all their social accounts and works very hard on match day with the media and all kinds of things, but went through the tryout process and filmed himself doing so and talking to people about that process, which is a really interesting piece of work that he did, and very, very well done for anyone that's interested in what it's like to kind of go through that process. Check out what Trey did for Indy 11. But they're in Wolverhampton right now. And Jim, what do you think about that match?
Honestly, I'm not super worried about it. I'm not saying we're definitely going to win, but Watford's form has been kind of up and down over the last 5 matches. I mean, didn't they lose to Watford 3 or 4 matches ago? I think they did. They drew United, if I'm not mistaken, and so it's not going to be an easy match by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I think they have a pretty good defense. Obviously, their attack can be potent. Jimenez is a player you have to look out for. Moutinho is a really, really slick midfielder. I'm not sure if I would make a prediction in this match. I don't think we're going to lose it, but I would not be overly surprised if this ended up being a draw. That said, I still think we're going to win, perhaps in a narrow, maybe 1-0 or 2-1 sort of match.
Looking back on our last time we played Wolves not too long ago, we were flat. We looked tired. I mean, that was a conversation. We looked exhausted, especially in the second half. We got lucky with a little bit of a VAR doing its stuff, but calling an offside, which, the player was offside. But anyway, I think Klopp's going to have the boys ready. Sunday to Thursday, that's a decent amount of rest. I think we'll go full strength, and I think we'll get a good performance out. I think this Manchester United victory really kind of is going to buoy the guys for the rest of the season. We know that they're only focusing one game at a time, but it's in the back of their heads. They're thinking of what might be, and they want it. That's the thing, and they're not dreaming about it and kind of getting lost in it and just thinking that they're the best. I think they want to prove that they're the best, and go back to that lyric of "Now you're going to believe us that we are the best." And I'm scared for anybody that we're coming up against. Atletico Madrid, I'd be scared. This team's hungry, and they want it. They want it bad, and I think they're going to do it. I'm not making it. Not saying they're going to. I think they're going to do it as in give everybody a game, and nothing's going to come easy for any of the opposition, and it's going to be tough to play anybody. So.
Do either of you watch the NBC Sports YouTube show. It's called The Lowdown. It's kind of a side thing that Rebecca Lowe and the Robbies do, or Kyle and one of the Robbies do after the week's matches, where the shtick of the segment is she gets asked 5 questions and she has to answer them within 30 seconds. Do you guys ever watch that?
No.
Have you ever seen it before? It's actually pretty good. So she thinks Liverpool are going to go undefeated for the rest of the season, and she thinks that they will be more invincible than the Invincibles.
I love her for that.
Yeah.
Well, really, the Invincibles, the Arsenal team, they drew 12 matches.
Yep.
So what do we have left? 16? Sorry, I was told there'd be no math tonight. Joe would do all the math. So.
My Excel sheet would do all the math.
How many matches are left?
Okay,
we played 22.
1, 2,
we
3,
played 22
4,
or 23?
5, 6, 7.
We've played 22.
8, 9, 10, 16.
16. So we can win 5 and draw 11 and match Arsenal. We're not going to draw.
We're not going to draw matches. It's not going to happen.
Oh,
no.
Man.
And I'm not saying we're going to win all of them, like Rebecca says. There's a chance that we could. It's playing like this. There's no doubt about it.
She said undefeated, so she thinks we'll probably draw again at least once, but we're going to finish undefeated and with more points than Arsenal. So
yeah, we could win 6 and draw the rest and still be better off.
Yeah,
win 6 and draw 10 and still do better than Arsenal did, and that's not going to happen. I'd rather. Well, we won't get into it. We've gone long enough, but it's this team's off to a remarkable start, and no one's begrudging Rebecca thinking that we're just gonna, run the table and maybe draw a couple and win the rest. That's certainly very feasible. And it's pretty damn exciting to think about.
All right, so let's start wrapping it up. Jim, coming to you first. Plugs, non-plugs, man.
So I it being Martin Luther King Day, I don't have any non-plugs, and that's not meant to say that you guys are going to be in bad taste if you do non-plugs, just to be clear. But I just couldn't, one thing, think of anything for today. But second, this is a day that I think is a super important day. I mean, that may sound like master the obvious, but my plug is going to be related to Martin Luther King Day, and that has to do with Brian Stevenson, who is an attorney and professor at New York University. He is the founder of the Equal Justice Initiative, which is an organization that is based in Alabama that is focused on working on cases to represent people who have been unjustly convicted of crimes. And he so there's a movie out right now called Just Mercy that's based on his memoir about his work with the Equal Justice Initiative and just him growing up in Alabama and just on racial equality in the United States in general. And so my plug is going to be Just Mercy, because it's not only a book, now it's a movie. So if you like to read, I would say go read the book. It's fantastic. If you prefer to go to the theater or wait until it comes on one of the streaming services, see the movie, because both of them are fantastic. The movie stars Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx. I think Brie Larson's in it too, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen it yet, but I've talked to several people who have, and they thought it was outstanding. So that is my plug for tonight. Sorry to be so serious, but I thought it appropriate for the day.
No, it's fine. Brian, plugs, non-plugs.
Well done. That's hard to follow, much like Jim's comment earlier about the desire of this club and how focused they are. That was hard to follow too, but hey, that was a good one. Well done. So, I already non-plugged the United supporters acting like idiots, and that's always easy to do. So I've kind of done that earlier, so I won't do that. Hey, Adam Lallana's weird-looking Puma boots, I'll unplug those just for the fun of it. He's changed colors, and they're equally as bad as his previous Puma boots that he had. So, a couple of plugs tonight. I'll try to do it quickly. It'd be just a great turnout and performance, really, by all the local Indy Reds and all the Liverpool supporters in the area at Union Jack Pub this weekend. Got there early, packed the place, well-behaved, just had a great time with each other, meeting new people and encouraging people you never met before to sit at a table with you. I mean, it was just a terrific event, a big match, and well done to everybody there. The staff, the servers, everybody at Union Jack Pub and beautiful Broad Ripple, well done, and especially the Indy Reds as well. So plug to those folks. One other plug tonight is to a female footballer named Fran Kitching, and those you probably don't recognize that name, but I know a 15-year-old kid in my house named Owen who would know who that is, and Alex might know as well, Joe, because she is the goalkeeper for the Liverpool ladies team, and our boys were at a camp up in South Bend this past summer, and the Liverpool ladies team stopped by and kind of played around with everybody there at the camp. Now, she's a Liverpool goalkeeper and just suffered probably the most horrific injury I've ever seen. And I know, we've seen broken ankles and crazy things like that before. This is a head injury that she suffered, and it's just...
Is Peter Cech bad?
Worse. I sent you guys just a picture of the two black eyes, and I'll send you pictures of the rest of it. In fact, I'm going to do it right now because maybe I can get a live reaction here. This is.
I just looked it up. My God,
this is
unbelievable.
Yeah, Joe, it's coming to you right now. I want to hear what you kind of have to say about this. So, an injury, kind of scalp and forehead, unbelievable. Fran Kitching, the Liverpool women's goalkeeper. And I hope we'll send a tweet to her from the pod, and hopefully she gets well soon. But shout out and a plug to her for hope she gets better soon. And just one of the worst head injuries I've ever seen. And looks like my pictures I'm sending you guys are taking just a minute or two here. But
I just got it.
Yeah, are you getting the after? She's the doctor, Joe.
Yeah,
are you getting the before? Oh yeah, wait till you see the before. So, and it's hopefully it arrives here in a second.
Yeah,
but
oh man, that is bad.
That is really something, isn't it? So, yeah. So Fran Kitching, Liverpool ladies goalkeeper. Hope she gets well soon. That's my real plug tonight.
All right. Okay. Well, my plug is going to be for Union Jack Pub and beautiful Broad Ripple. If you're ever in town, go check them out. Even if you're going to be watching a match or not. Great staff, great people, great food, great beer list. Also want to plug Amazon customer service. I know that these guys know where I'm going at with this, but so it's kind of a long story, but your podcast host bought the wrong Apple gift cards, was planning to get an Apple Watch, and cashed in some Amazon gift cards for what ended up being App Store gift cards, not Apple Store gift cards, and they would not accept them at at the Apple Store, so Joe does not get an Apple Watch. Thankfully, Amazon was able to cancel that order since the gift card was not claimed and refund us, so thank you very much for my non-plug of the night, which is me being an idiot. I do have a little bit of it. Also, another non-plug. It is Flu Strand B. The flu wreaked havoc in our house the week before last, and then on Sunday it was Daddy's turn to be sick, and I was battling nastiness all last week, which is hence why we did not podcast. So I'm bouncing back. I can actually hear me this week. Last week it was very difficult to make out what I was saying. So anyway, I'm glad to be back. So I want to thank anybody for coming. For listening. Thank you, Jim and Bryan, for coming on the podcast. We really do appreciate it. We really do appreciate every single one of you listeners. If you want to get a hold of us, we're going to put the contact information in the outline of the podcast notes. And hey, guess what? And now they're going to believe us, and now they're going to believe us, and now they're going to believe us. We're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the league.
Hey, before
league.
one more thing. Sorry to interrupt. I have one more plug. I want to plug the red skies over Anfield during the the Liverpool-Manchester United match. Did you see the photos of that, guys?
Yes, and did you see Virgil?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and when Virgil's doing his jump celebration, and you see the red skies behind. Yes.
It's cool. Okay, that's all I had to say. Sorry, Joe.
This is Joe Dilling signing off for episode 105 of the New Reds podcast. You'll never walk alone, and we're going to win the league.
Better believe it.